Good morning and welcome to our weekly edition of the Tourismus Namibia internet show. My name is Steffen. I'm the editor of Tourismus Namibia. That's obviously our monthly magazine which we bring out as part of various focus editions of Namibia Media Holdings here in Namibia. We, as usual, will bring you some news. And then after that, we'll have a quick chat with Chloe Durr, where we give you some ideas, holiday ideas, under the theme of destinations. And then finally, today we've compiled a little video clip of the talk, which the Evening Review, which is another show of NMH, had with the Minister of Environment earlier in the week. But yeah, before we go there, let's quickly visit the marketplace, and after that we'll look at the topics I've brought along today. Topics, yeah, I've got three as per usual. The first and foremost on all of our minds, or on many of our minds, is probably still the fact that there's still this oil exploration going on up in the northeast. The way that I understand it, they're now aiming at starting with the second drilling point now. This was earlier in the week. They had a online conference in Canada, which was hosted by the Prospectors and Developer Association of Canada, PDAC, and these many of the activists internationally thought that the whole COVID-19 issue was abused to now have an online conference, because last year demonstrators and activists were able to disturb quite a lot of the meetings. So in this case, what you have here is a few Canadians made a point of demonstrating in front of the head office of Reconnaissance Energy Africa in Canada. So I picked up this photo through an activist group. So clearly it is not only Namibians who are opposing this whole oil exploration issue up in the north. And so it was quite interesting that it is these activists that are also calling to action for the World Water Day. You will see there's a poster here where they say they actually want to march on that head office again. So yeah, World Water Day is obviously affected in this case because the biggest problem that all of us have is the fact that if fracking starts in Kavango, it will obviously have a huge impact on the water situation there. Like I said in previous shows, the water basin that is concerned here stretches from right where the Okavango enters into Namibia, covers the whole Kavango area, goes right down to Grootfontein, from there almost to Otjiwarongo, and in the east almost or shall I say, towards the southeast, almost reaches Gebabes. It's the Okavango-Ipukiro basin. So world water, yes, it is important, and fracking is obviously not good for us. So talking of this PDAC conference, the interesting part was that obviously quite a number of mining bosses spoke there, and my point is always I'm trying to still remain as objective as one can remain under the circumstances. So now we've had this case of Recon Africa, who really seem to be a bit of a cowboy team, who simply come in using the approach which we so often see with all these mines, come in, make a quick buck, and off we go, and so what, thank you, we're done here, and goodbye. Now here you see the difference. They had Clive Johnson, he's the CEO of B2 Gold Corp. which is quite a substantial mining company. And it's not as if they are suddenly angels, but what you can see clearly here is that they are successful in being recognized as people who are not only mining. And if you looked at his speech that he gave at the PDAC, I was pleasantly surprised, because where some of the other executives that spoke first went into profitability and shareholder value gains and all this sort of thing, he made it clear that this is a bigger thing. They come to a country, as he put it, the time has passed where you simply come in there and take over the show and have some quick buck to make, and off you are. And he speaks of sustainable solutions which you bring in and introduce towards the place where you do your mining. So typically they got this PDAC award now. Now many people will argue, yes, it's the devil telling the devil he's good. No, in this case, I seriously think not every person in PDAC is trying just to make a quick buck. There are some of those who are really aiming at getting a sustainable solution. And I just felt B2Gold must certainly be counted as one of those who are truly trying to do this. Because if you look at that sustainability award, it there says this award honors an individual or organization demonstrating outstanding initiative, leadership and accomplishments in protecting and preserving the natural environment. Now, this is exactly what B2Gold does in Namibia. And you can obviously look at all the other awards. So the idea is not, like I said, to suddenly make B2Gold and turn them into angels. What I'm saying is, if you look at the next slide, you will see there, he proudly, I mean, this is a live shot that I just copied, where he says, you know, we created a 15,000 hectare nature reserve adjacent to the Oshikoto mine. And they've plowed money into an education center in that same area. Now, he speaks there of social investments for the constructions of 1 primary school and financial support for 2 additional schools in marginalized communities. Yes, that's a fact. We wrote about it. And they're very much involved in that. And he also speaks here about the Namibian Rhino Gold Bar initiative. This was a huge initiative last year where they literally donated 1,000 ounces of gold and offered them to investors. This was like a big do, and anybody who was somebody who meant something could invest by buying those gold ounces. And the proceeds actually went towards the Save the Rhino the trust fund. So these are great initiatives, and he obviously told also of corporate governance and employee satisfaction. But what he doesn't list there is that we as newspapers, because I'm also editor of the Allgemeine Zeitung, and not only Allgemeine Zeitung, but Republikein, Namibian Sun, our sister newspapers also wrote about it. There was a huge effort from B2Gold last year to support marginalized communities who were especially hit hard by the COVID-19. You know, so all of this is something that they do for the community. And yes, obviously they make money. I mean, let's face it, whether we like it or not, that is part of business, but that's part of any business. And so to me, it was just refreshing to see that he leaned much stronger on these things before he went into all the nitty-gritty about how much gold they mined last year and what was their earnings and so on. Obviously, that's part of what they do. I mean, it's a business after all, and there were people who invested in it. But at least there's a return for the country as well. There's something that remains, and it's something that they're actually very proud of at B2Gold. It seems to me, at least, that they say, when we're gone, that doesn't mean we'll only leave a desert behind. So if you look at the next caption that I took, this one I did purposefully, because I must stress that Mr. Johnson not once mentioned any singular mine or other opposition or whatever. But I couldn't help noticing when he said, we deliver on the promises we make. That is key to our success. And then he further said, African governments should hold all mining companies accountable by applying their regulations and laws equally and do their due diligence. Verify the track record and reputation of the proposed investor. And so you spoke about the fact that there seem to be companies once in a while who come to Africa and they do not deliver on their promises and do not respect local employees nor the environment, and who have no respect, because they do not respect the environment. In the process, they're damaging the industry's reputation. And I couldn't help but wondering whether it was a bit of a swipe to such institutions such as Recon Africa, who came to Namibia, didn't obey a single rule that we are aware of, abused the COVID situation to have supposedly open discussions about what they intended to do, yet everybody out there was totally surprised when they came to start drilling for oil and stuff like that. It is a total opposite. And I just felt that this needed to be said on a program such as this as well, because it's easy to always criticize, but at the end of the day, we need to employ our people and make sure that everybody gets by. And it's just good to see that there are minds that do the right thing and not only look after profit, because it's obviously a bigger picture that needs to be taken here. So enough said about that. Sadly, up in the north, we're back to square one. If you look at this photo, it's crazy. All these locusts on one single tree, and this was just with one tree. So similar to what we see in East Africa, Namibia as well is again having a huge problem with locusts up in the northeast. And it's sad to see, considering that we had these good rains and everything was getting better all the time now. So yeah, I've actually attached two videos, video clips that were made available to me, and maybe you can just have a look at yourself.
Locusts here in Kaisosi, a cloud of locusts. Take a look at that. Take a look at this. Wow, take a look at this. We are going to be left with nothing, completely nothing. Vyayo atuthilako kwato inai tusigira nompasi wakwetu one malima kwato tukanderere nisimpe nompasi dalikarere.
This is locust at Muroro village, Mashare constituency. They are eating and they are just like clouds. You cannot even see all over. At a distance of a kilo, they are just all over. This is Muroro village in Mashare constituency. This is locust you see. I'm in the field, the whole field is destroyed. That's the thing which you can see like brown. It's not leaves of the plants, but it's locust. The whole area is destroyed. The whole area is destroyed. The whole area is destroyed. This is locust you see. This is locust you see. This is locust.
Yeah, and this is so sad to see. I mean, now finally we've had good rains in Namibia, and then the next problem turns up. It's somehow we simply do not seem to win this war. And you know, on this side we've got the locusts now eating up all the plants and destroying the crops. And on the western side, we have not yet received enough rain to sustain our people there. So Namibia is a dry land, and Namibia is being affected by the change in climate. And yeah, just another reason to remember why Recon Africa is just the worst possible idea in a country such as this, where we already have a huge problem sustaining ourselves and sustaining the wildlife that we have. So we should use all advantages we have, and we certainly do not need fracking to still worsen the situation. Right, but before we close with our topics, the last one I thought I'd pick out, because I just found it was a really beautiful picture taken by Erwin Leuschner. If you have a look here, this is Downviljoen, just outside Windhoek, and it must have been years and years and years ago that you would have seen the dam, number one, being as full as it is. It's a small dam, it's a small nature reserve, but it's so incredibly beautiful. So I just thought I'd share that with you as well. Erwin, by the way, writes for Tourismus magazine as well. He's the one who always writes about the Astro page, giving you some insight there. Those are our topics for today. Up next, we've got destinations, obviously with Chloe Durr. Welcome back. As you see, Chloe has joined me. Chloe Durr.
I'm back.
Yeah,
remember me?
Yeah, she obviously gave us a whole lot of news from Henties Bay and going up the coast last time, which I actually enjoyed much.
Yeah, it was fun.
Because it was totally different for a change, and it sort of showed where you are and the liveliness of it. So I actually enjoyed it. But anyway, she's back here today to tell us a bit about. This is obviously Chloe Durr, by the way. It's not only Chloe. She writes for the Tourismus Namibia. And yeah, you wanted to tell us a bit more about Mesem Crater.
I spent so much time in Durr while I was in the area. So I really got a chance to, explore some of the attractions. And the Mesem Crater was one of them. And, when I first arrived, I half expected it to be like a donga made out of a meteorite or something like that. And before going, I'd obviously looked on maps and things, and I saw, but there was a Mesem Crater there and there and there and there, because from above there are quite a few, but it's actually not an asteroid crater. It's from
volcanic activity.
Look how tiny my dad looks in that. I mean, he almost looks a bit too, anyway, whatever. It's a very strange point of view, but the views from there are exceptionally beautiful. And so when you're there, you wouldn't look at this and think it's a crater, even from the photographs or while you're there. But if you go on Google Maps, you really get a sense of how huge it is. Yeah,
it's really a big valley almost. And huge. On the top you see the actual, the volcano edge.
And because of all the rains, there were such beautiful flowers that I'm sure aren't usually there. And I think
certainly not blooming this way.
Definitely not. And I just found the views exceptional. But I have to say, getting there, you have to drive very carefully. Obviously, driving 4x4 is non-negotiable. But the roads are so the rocks are so sharp that you actually 40 kilometers is almost the maximum that you can drive. And then obviously the signature Murtu signpost, which always gives everyone a chuckle. But another wonderful thing about the area is that there are actually some caves, and you can camp there and things like that. So you could really go for an amazing wilderness adventure just in the area.
Just in that area,
because it's huge. It's absolutely huge. But I wouldn't. Just go prepared for with a spare tire and things like that, because even we had some close calls with puncturing because the rocks are so sharp.
But you know, the problem is, contrary to what most people out in Namibia will always tell you, people always say, don't pump your tires too hard. And we had the opportunity to speak to a tire specialist years ago, and he says the harder the rock, the harder the tire needs to be. Actually, to jump away from the sharp rocks, and rather than cut in, because it's a soft wall or whatever, it can easily penetrate.
Then, I mean, because we didn't deflate our tires before going, because it was a spontaneous decision. So maybe that's why we didn't get a puncture or anything like that, because it looked as though we were asking for it. I mean,
no, he always had that argument that, and he was a tire builder. They literally speak of themselves as a tire builder.
Sure.
And he explained that in soft sand you have soft tires, because then it makes a nice little, almost a bubble floating on top of the sand. Whereas if you go into harder area, try and pump up your tires.
I think the funniest thing that I've learned from all my road trips has been the way that specifically men teach me to caress the steering wheel when on very rocky roads. So you never tell, they always call the wheel the female, and you never tell the female to go this way or that way. You just let it go where the wheels want to go, and just guide it. It's so, I could actually write a book just on the descriptions that people have given me on how to maneuver through rocky roads.
Try and manipulate a woman,
But anyway, yeah, exactly right. So don't always go for the most deflated, but I think definitely take the journey to the crater, because those views are exceptional.
And then you had some special visits that you...
Well, further down, as you go deeper past the Murutu signpost, you'll come to actually the greatest specimen of welwitschia that I've seen so far. And they just line the plain, and you know, these are the largest I've seen.
And in full bloom, actually.
In full bloom, and the colors were exceptionally beautiful. And being able to see the differences, because I know there is a male and female plant, and I don't actually know the difference, but I just wanted to show them up close, because it's very seldom that you actually take in the detail of them. Because they have the same leaves from the time that they don't shed their leaves and regrow their leaves. So as you can see, the leaves kind of dissipate into that grey, you know, it's all the same
coarse thing. Actually, they don't have many leaves, by the way.
Two, I think.
Only two,
But what was beautiful was, because of the rain, seeing the grass plains in the...
I think that's probably why they were blooming blooming that way.
And so this I mean, now is really an exceptional time to be in Namibia, because the rains have really transformed the desert in ways that sometimes isn't so great for the desert, because it's such a delicate biome. But seeing this site, I don't think is very common. You know, with the grass plains, and there was actually even more grass than I actually managed to capture. But for me, I mean, I know we've spoken about welwitschia before, but seeing them in this kind of very
unique, sort
of
green surrounding and cereal.
It's weird, because they are desert plants, and seeing them in, I mean, to get some perspective, I think you'll see just now the car in comparison to the welwitschia, you're able to see just the sheer size of them. I mean, they are in diameter.
They are because the same normally size. You don't see them that size. Not if you're closer to Swakop.
Look at that size comparison. I mean, it's really quite crazy. So I mean, I know Swakop has some amazing. I actually haven't been to the main welwitschia in Swakop. So this for me was exceptional.
No, this is exceptional. I think by any standard, it is.
Are these larger than the Swakop? Or?
Yeah, generally.
Generally.
Yeah.
But
you're more in the typical area there where they are actually more at home. Because if you take the welwitschia found, well, I would say from the Kruisip upwards, and then it goes sort of into the lower stretches of the Namib, where it is already part of Angola. But this is like centers. This is where it feels most at home. Remember, you even get them up at Kamanyap as you go towards the coast. There are also places where you find them.
But what was wonderful to see was that there were also some babies. So I mean, if there's fear,
I always wonder, like, if you talk of a baby plant, there is it only 100 years old?
I know. but still, almost when capturing them, I was like, maybe we should capture them because we don't know how long they're going to be around. They'll be around because there are babies everywhere. So I don't really know how
for sure. But I mean, the size that you've shown there. Look, I'm not a botanist, so I can't say, but they must be immensely old.
They must be.
Yeah.
And then a little bit further inland was a very special experience for me. We've spoken about Mount Etcho, but I haven't really gone into detail about the rhino sanctuary. And this for me was one of the most special experiences I've had, I think, for a number of reasons. I mean, rhino conservation is a huge passion of mine, but you know, this was a very unprecedented experience, being able to accompany Annette Olufse to her little babies, because it isn't a tourist attraction and it isn't something that they offer to guests or anything like that. But Annette has been taking care of orphaned rhino since 1995, when Nossi, a 7-day-old baby rhino, came into her care. And Nossi, I mean, has been integrated so successfully into the Okonyati game reserve that she's gone on to bear 9 calves.
Okay, and these are some of the...
No, these aren't. These are 2 of the calves that they had when I was there, and one of them, the mother had been killed by an elephant, and the other one was because of poaching, I think it was. And they just happened to be the same age and the same sex. But they, you know, very rarely do you get to, you know, really
actually see this,
and touch and look at the minute hairs on all of their faces. But I mean, it really is a life devotion. I mean, just seeing the connection that those rhino have with her. I mean, it really, and they still are wanting more, so they're sucking her fingers, but the love they have for her is so unbelievable. And I know, looking at these pictures, you almost feel like, gosh, they look a bit too tame, but you must remember, she's literally slept with them since they were babies, and then they get released into the wild. And she told me such a beautiful story about Nossi. This was amazing. As the sun came up them in it almost looks like they're descending from heaven. But Nossi still recognizes her, and that's Nossi from, this is a picture from her book.
Years ago,
and that's what started her passion. But Nossi obviously is now completely in the wild, so she doesn't have any contact with him. But the one day she went to go and check on her, and Nossi had a baby, and Nossi actually brought the baby to Annette, so that Annette could meet the baby, and then you know, they had like this connection together. And then
it's almost like the story about the elephant whisperer. It's pretty much the same sort of
we've
vein.
Spoken about that book before. It's a beautiful book, but really being able to, I felt honored to be able to like witness that connection.
I would imagine,
So actually was in tears most of the time. I went on 2 separate days, and both of the days you just see how precious these creatures are.
It's unbelievable if you see a huge animal and it's suddenly so at ease in human presence. I remember years ago they had a rhino called Brutus. Many of the listeners might have known, and I think he came from Ungava, and he had somebody grown too big and too you know, bullish and so on. So they said, no, it's time for him to go out into the wild. And I seem to remember they brought him to Etosha, which is next door, obviously. And so I remember in the evening this huge animal coming up right at Okakwe to the water, you know, the water place there, whatever, and just like right up to the wall and like eyeing us. And then somebody then told me it's very likely that would have been Brutus, because he still felt very much attached to humans. And
obviously you don't necessarily want that for their own security, but in all of these cases with Annette's, she called them her babies. I mean, they're completely vulnerable. I mean, those babies were 1 year old, if you can believe it. They're huge. But yeah, it's just such a successful program that they actually do get integrated into this huge reserve where they're free. I think that's because, even speaking to Annette, her constant ethos is that, you know,
they need to go back.
They need to be in the wild. She doesn't.
Which I think is the hardest part.
Because the connection,
Yeah.
I mean, you can even see it in that video, is undeniable. But at the end of the day, you know, it's not natural. So
No, obviously, they're best off out there. Yeah.
I don't think my video had sound, and I wish that I had actually included the sound, but the high-pitched squeals that the rhino make, I mean, you
Typical babies.
No, but they even make that noise when they're old. And because I
okay.
said to her, is this just because they're babies? No, rhino have such high-pitched little squeals that they make, even as adults, that it's like, it's such a contradictory sound to come out of such a
huge
you know,
animal.
huge animal.
Yeah.
But anyway, just if you, obviously, we've spoken about this before, but if you're ever in the area, I mean, definitely try pick up her book and read more about it, because stories like that are just really special.
Yeah,
you know?
and it doesn't happen that often anymore. And so, yeah, good luck. Anyway, we hope you enjoyed that. That's it for today. Yes, that was a recording which we prepared with Durr. She was in the studio just moments ago. So anyway, there are a few nice ideas, and I always find it refreshing to see it with her eyes, simply because I've been around Namibia such a lot, whereas for her it's always still a new discovery, and you suddenly see that amazing voice always to see, or actually to see her voice actually illustrating her actual amazement with what she's just seen, something that we take for granted here in this country by now. Sadly so, but it is what it is. So up next, we've got, as promised earlier, we have To the Point, this time a little cutout from an interview which the Minister for Environment, Forestry and Tourism, Pohamba Shifeta, had in our studio a few days ago.
A very good evening to all our viewers, and welcome to this edition of the Evening Review. My name is Toiwan Jabela, your host for tonight. Let's have a look at today's front page of Namibian Sun. Today we have the distinct honor of having on the show the Minister of Environment and Tourism, Pohamba Shifeta, to talk to us about a few things that concern his portfolio. Welcome to the show, Minister.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, indeed. Maybe the first thing that I want to engage you on, Minister, really is there's so much debate going on about the exposure that the environment in the Kavango region is getting from the exploration activities there for oil, as a ministry, what is your take, especially in light of this back and forth arguments that there will be fracking, that the water reservoirs will be affected by these activities? What has been your assessment of the situation?
Yes, this issue of Recon Africa doing some survey to gather data for exploration has been really taken out of proportion.
Yeah.
Both internally and internationally, there are so many misleading information. Some probably deliberate, either by omission or commission. And even if we explained, and we have done that on several occasions, to explain what is taking place in Kavango region. It is not exploration, full exploration. It is mere to gather data, geological data, to see whether there is oil, just a science of oil, to see whether there is a science of oil. And then after that, because that is a stage one, after that, if they found that there is a kind of, you know, some leading information, by analyzing that data, they can now go for exploration. There are 3 stages, even before they go for mining. Now, we are not part of Recon Africa. I saw in one of the newspapers yesterday, say Shifeta defends Recon exploration. I mean, whatever, drilling of oil or fracking. I don't defend any, and we are not also a proponent. We are, first of all, we are not a proponent. We are also not a competent authority. Competent authority in this matter is Ministry of Mines and Energy. It's the one that grants all these licenses. What Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism, through the Environmental Commissioner, and the Environmental Commissioner is an autonomous office. Environmental Commissioners, as we have them, the Environmental Commissioner and the Deputy, these are not civil servants. These are state functionaries who are appointed, whose appointments are done different from civil servants. That's why they are independent. The minister cannot instruct the Environmental Commissioner what to do and what not to do. I cannot tell the Environmental Commissioner, approve this environmental impact assessment, don't approve this, give this ECC, that is now environmental clean certificate, to this company, don't give, because their decisions are unfettered. No one in this country can disturb the decision of the Environmental Commissioner.
Okay.
Now, because as a minister, my duty is just to explain the law and the facts that I get from the Environmental Commissioner's office. I can explain the law because everything is based on the Environmental Management Act number 7 of 2007 and its regulations. I can explain the process that we grant environmental certificate, clean certificate, through the Office of the Environmental Commissioner. And we always say, and the law is very clear, if there is any person who feels aggrieved, can appeal to the minister within 14 days. And these things are done in public before assessment of the environmental impact assessment is done by the commissioner's office. There is a public information, advertisement to call people to come and air the view, even object. So that has passed. But I have been always lenient because I have discretion. Even if after 14 days somebody appeals, I have been always willing to hear that and to preside over that. Now, people go and talk, and now we as a ministry, we cannot defend any proponent. We cannot defend any applicant who applies for environmental clean certificate. We apply science when it requires that there's a a higher possibility. That means there's a significant possibility of environmental damage. There's no way that the commissioner will grant that environmental clean certificate. But you see, when you want to eat a scrambled egg, you can't eat a scrambled egg without cracking it. So you must crack it. Anything, there will always be a very insignificant. Anything, even if I have to say I have to break this wall, the dust will go out. Yeah. It will emit it. So they will always be, but those are insignificant. They cannot do really much damage to the environment. Yeah. But where there is serious damage to the environment, that we do. So that's why in this case of Recon Africa now, there's no way that the minister will defend, have no interest at all. Just like any other proponent who comes, applies for environmental clean certificate, we have scientists to do the assessment and even to work on the environmental management plan, because a project of this magnitude has an environmental management plan agreed upon by the commissioner how to manage it. And we are talking about a very simple, small area. And the way people are talking about it is like the whole Kavango Delta, the whole, even in conservancies. There's nothing in conservancy, one. There's nothing in one of the parks. There's nothing in any biodiversity sensitive area that the exploration is taking place. Nothing. So, and we will not allow that. So these people who cause misleading information, they really, I mean, they have this tendency of causing panic to the people. When you cause rumor, and the rumor becomes like a true story, people get panic for nothing. So but people must be assured that there is no, even the fracking they're talking about, fracking is something that is done only when you have oil. When you are extracting oil. There's no something like, there's no oil, no gas yet. So because the first stage is to see whether the data can give you a kind of a sign. A sign to say there's a sign of oil here or gas. Now the second stage, and all these stages are given environmental clearance certificate. They have to be cleared. Now the second say after that, now if you now found that there's a sign of oil or gas, now the other exploration, now the full exploration go on. They still have to apply for environmental clearance certificate to the commissioner. Then after that, if they found now that there is oil or gas, but how viable it is economically, because you can't mine something that is not economically viable. So if it's not significant, there's no need, because you will not be able to get anything from that. So now all these three stages, they have to get clearance from the environmental commissioner. Now when it comes to drilling now, that's the time after they found, after the 2 stages, pass through 2 stages. Because if they don't pass even this one, if the data collection gives, after analysis gives that there's no sign of oil, there's no need to waste money in do the exploration.
Indeed. But what is your assessment, Minister, of the fact that these critical voices, these voices of dissent towards this project are mostly on foreign soil? It's not really Namibians, if you look at the numbers of voices that are opposed to these things. And there are people who are coming out and say, oh, some of these voices are coming from countries that actually produce oil. Is it really a genuine concern, or they simply want to suppress the possibility of us having the same resource in our country? What is your assessment of just where these voices are coming from?
Yeah, I also sometimes think that this is probably jealousy, and our people then start buying in, our own local people. You are doing the same thing, but you don't want others to do it. We have the capacity to do assessment of any environmental impact that can be caused by any project or any activities. And this is one of the listed activities. And there's no way that our scientists, even I am standing here, I can be held liable. And I don't want that. I have to make sure that whatever is taking place it's properly assessed on the impact of the environment, especially this kind of projects. And we do monitor. There is inspection, even on this kind of project. Every time you have, they have a schedule to go there on site and see what is taking place. Because that site is small. It's like a less than 2 sport field. You know, it's a small place. And the wells that we are talking about, where they are collecting data, they're only given 3. But now they're only doing on 2 wells. And this is now a well of 30 centimeter. It's like a normal well that we do drill for boreholes. That's better, 30 centimeter radius. So there would be there's no emission. So what we are trying to do is to say, let those foreigners who think they are so much caring about Namibia, and we have been doing wonderful jobs. That's why when it comes to biodiversity conservation, we are leading in the world. Now, no one can come and teach us what to do. We're supposed to teach them what to do when it comes to biodiversity conservation. So they must listen to us.
Indeed.
Some of them, they finish their things, they damage their environment. Even if you go to the beaches, there is nothing that you cannot even swim there. The water is very dirty, but they want to teach us what to do. So these are foreign missionaries. They come and they influence our people, and our people buy in. But our people should trust that we have professional people in the Environmental Commissioner's office. These are professional people. We don't need people from outside to do all this work.
Indeed.
So,
indeed, Minister. So now coming directly to your ministry, because you said, of course, this issue is more of a mines and energy portfolio matter. In your own case, also you are facing your own fires from, again, voices of dissent regarding the elephants that you are trying to sell through auctions, 170 elephants to be specific. You know, can you assure the viewers and everybody who's watching tonight that this is being done in the best interest of the country, is in the best interest of what our environmental laws stand for, and everything to that effect?
Let me first and foremost state that whatever we do as a ministry as a whole, our responsibilities, whether it comes to environment, tourism, and forestry, protection of our environment is our main function. And this delivery of our constitution, the Namibian constitution, the only unique constitution in the world that talks about environment, protection of environment, very, very in details. Article 95L, it's very clear. And our environmental laws comes from there. They derive it from that. Our Environmental Management Act, Act number 7 of 2007, our regulations on that, and the conservation also amendment that we do on nature conservation, they're all from there. The Game Trust Fund, the EF, all this act came from there. And ours is to make sure that we manage our biodiversity. We put proper management and strategies to ensure that our population of wild animals are growing, and we manage also conflict between human and wild animals, because there will always be conflict where there are animals and so now you have those who want to make money because they want to fundraise. They use Namibia because they know Namibia has got a lot of a population of animals, a lot of them. Now they don't really have interest in making sure that Namibia conservation is done in a proper way. Their interest is to make money. So that's the way they have a project to fundraise. When they make noise, they get money. Otherwise, there's no anything that they tell us what to do. So we have the capacity to manage our biodiversity. I can tell you this, the population of wild animals now in this country. After independence, before independence, there were proper management was not done because of wars. And the much animals, either you had abattoirs, elephant being culled for of course, for ration for soldiers, South African soldiers, because when they had sanctions in Etosha, there were big abattoirs, and the Babata National Park, big abattoirs, culling. There were many elephants, but at independence around 1995, there were only about less than 7,000 elephants in the country. So we have to come up with a proper policies and laws to manage our biodiversity, to make sure that the population increase, and even introduce some wildlife registers from the normal ones in the park, outside the parks, and in the freehold land, that is now commercial farms. So the population have grown to the extent that today, from less than 7,000, we have more than 24,000 elephants. Imagine, and you can understand that the habitat has been shrinking because of human development. They are encroaching in the wildlife habitat. So we have to expand the range to say, let us introduce this animal into communal land. That's why we have conservancies. We have 6 conservancies now. And most of these conservancies, these animals, we put them there, not only elephants. Now, apart from that, we have modern buffaloes and many others. They grow from buffaloes that were just in this country, they were just less than 4,000. Now they are more than 10,000. Now we talk about those that are outside, not the one, the free disease one in the border belt. And this increase the human wildlife conflict. Now selling the elephants. Now when we take decisions, we just don't wake up and let's go and sell elephants or let's do this. We have a program, wildlife management program and elephant management programs in the country. So our decisions are informed first and foremost by the principles of sustainability and application of science. So we need to, when we decided that, we have already done the research. How many elephants that are causing problems in communities? We have some in Kamanya, have some health. We have already done all the research and even chipped some of them so that we can track them throughout the country, where they are. And we know that these are the ones causing problems. Kamanya, Omashete, Kavango, Chunkwe, Hurot-Fontaine areas, and some areas, they are damaging people's crops. Now, we do not know what to do there because we have been trying to apply some other ways to scare them. For instance, hunt some of the bulls. But we realize that it is not going to be well because when you hunt bulls, you end up just, disturbing the breeding process. So you better just take the whole herd, that's problematic, sell it, take from there, take from that. That is not even 0.1% of the animals we have. So you just take the problematic ones. So it is something that we have been doing. It's part of our biodiversity conservation. That is part of selling of animals. It's part of our program.
Indeed. And speaking of elephants, Minister, there was also this huge debate about the piles of elephant tusks in our reserves here, and government has been trying so hard to actually sell them off commercially, and you are being told by international, I think it's sites, that is saying that you must just burn them up. What is the status of that campaign right now?
We told them off, even at international forums. We told them Namibia will not burn its resources. If you want, come, we give you a price, you buy it, you go and burn this task in your country. But we want money, it's our resources. If you buy them and go and become your asset, we have no problem, but you don't burn them here. You burn them outside Namibia, we have no problem. Anyone, we are in a process still to see where it's viable. based on our domestic laws and international laws, that is CITES, whether we can sell these stockpiles we have. We have stockpiles of tusk and rhinos horns there. And we need to sell them because the management of this asset, it's costly. And it's posing some kind of security challenges. Because you have such asset in the bank, more than $1 billion Namibian, for instance, and then you have to manage them, but you don't know what to do with them because there is these restrictions of selling. When you do sell, they make noise. That's why in this case of selling elephants, it is a transparent thing. Normally we do it based on our laws. Finance Act is very clear, the Treasury instruction, so we get approval from from finance, and we agree on the price, the ceiling price, the minimum price for each unit. So, and when we sell this money, when it comes, we will be able to tell people that this is the money that we got from there, and that money is deposited on the Game Trust Fund. That's the fund that manage our conservancies, our parks, and the money is managed there. There's a board there. So now, when we do this, we know what we are doing as a country because we know how many animals, the carrying capacity. We've been also selling buffaloes. Like Waterberg has got only capacity of carrying capacity of, for instance, 400 buffaloes. But now there is more than 1,000 buffaloes. It's very, very detrimental to the environment. So we have to sell this. We can't continue just shooting for resort this animal to meat. Now we sell when people have problems. We just go and sell. These animals are, the value of a buffalo is more than 100,000 Namibian dollars. Now when you sell, it's not a cow. Now I said no. We need to come up with not only conservation part, but also kind of commercial part where parks will be able to manage themselves, sustain themselves with the money that comes from there. So we stop now just culling these buffaloes. That's why I said, let us sell them, even at some around minimal, say 70,000 or 50,000. But on this case, we do not want, because we have to reveal the names of people sometimes. Some bidders, they don't want to be revealed because once they get that, they get threatened. Their families have been threatened by these hooligans, calling themselves animal rights groups. They are hooligans. They are just, that's how they fundraise. They don't even understand the clue. I asked, one time I said, they must come, whoever has a problem with us managing our biodiversity, especially wildlife, selling them or, so that's our part of our management, because the communities are the ones who feel the pinch. They don't feel anything. Whoever has got a problem, and that person has got a farm, I am willing to give, and that is true, I'm willing to give that person a pair of elephant, a pair of lion, a pair of buffalo, a pair of hippo and crocodile if he has got a pond there, a pair of cheetah, a pair of leopard, to live with it. He will not live with it for 2 days. He will call me. Whether he has got 10,000 hectares. So what about those people who are suffering? Every day they call you, have elephants are in our field. And we because we have to trace this elephant, we know which herds are problematic herds that need to be uprooted, taken out as a family, and sell it somewhere. Either in a farm, in one of the farms here, who have got the capacity to have these elephants. Some of the people who are buying this are Namibians, locals. They want to stock them in their farms. So that is part of our wildlife management. Especially elephant, lions, buffaloes, we have management for each of these.
Indeed. Now, Minister, because you have done so well in your portfolio for a long time, ever since you became a full minister, you've done an excellent job. Namibia continues to be praised for its good management of environment, the entire biodiversity space. There are people who believe then that it's time for you to elevate. You can no longer just be the minister. It's time to lead the country at some stage when the opportunity comes. Is it something that crosses your mind?
See, listen here. It's not me who have done well. I'm not alone.
Yeah.
I have a team.
Yeah.
We are a team in the ministry. We have a very wonderful team.
And you're providing that leadership.
Very wonderful. I'm providing leadership. Even if you provide leadership and you have people who are useless,
Yes.
you won't be able to manage. But I can tell you, the ministry, even when we appoint people, when you put people in positions, we study them first.
Yes.
Who can do what? And I always tell people that this thing of putting your friends and your families in position, you are destroying them. If a person has no capacity for that position, better not expose that person. Mm-hmm. You study a person and look, this person can fit in this portfolio because has got a track record of doing best in that. So you put that person. Then you are surrounded with colleagues who are capable.
Yes.
So it is really not me. I can't say it's me. It is because of the team we have in the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism. A wonderful team. A wonderful team from the accounting officer with ED, the deputy EDs, we have them there, 3 of them, and the directors and the deputy directors, the management, whole entire management. Of course, we will have 201. Maybe they did not come there by merit or so. Those are things that you get. But the majority of them, they are very wonderful. Down to the last person, they are motivated, they are working hard. So mine is to say I enjoy my portfolio where I am now. Yeah. And when I'm deployed by the party, where I'm deployed, I don't think of going anywhere until the party says so. So maybe I will retire. Yeah. I will retire without reaching my retirement age. Yeah. I can do that, go to my profession, practice and do something. Yeah. But I have never thought of anything than what I'm doing now.
But if the party says, look, Pohamba, we know that you possess the qualities that we need for our next, maybe top 4 Congress next year. Top 4, we want you to feature somewhere there. You'll be able to hit the call and answer the call.
We are not yet there. So, you know, this thing, we have a head of the party, we have a leadership. When things come then to that, when discussion comes to that, they will be able to say who can do.
Yeah, sure.
So I don't like, and that's not my nature. Yeah. I've been in leadership since Nanso era. I never been, no one saw me, even on the social media, campaigning for any portfolio. Sure. I don't campaign for any portfolio. Indeed. I don't say I can do better, put me here, put a social media. You have never seen me doing that. Yeah. If we know each other in the system, I mean the organization, we know each other. So there's no need for me, and I don't even think of maybe I will get to that. No. Where I am, where I'm settled, deployed, I do my work. Sure. So that arrangement we can only talk about that when the leadership, and of course we have the president of the party pronounce himself. That's now when we can discuss about those kind of things. But for now, where I am, I like it. I enjoy my job. You know, it's good when you enjoy your job.
Yeah, very important.
You don't. Of course, you learn. Yeah. I always tell people that learn in the job, even if you didn't like the job. Yeah. When you get there, you cannot be there for 12 months and you have not mastered the job. Yeah. You must do it. Indeed. You must master the job. Indeed. And enjoy it. Therefore, you enjoy it when you master it.
Yeah, indeed. No, that's actually the reason I'm asking, because you belong to this new generation now of younger leaders in the party, and of course your track record in leadership, and of course there'll always be that temptation by fellow party members who have kept track of your work to say, this man can do a better job. But I respect that maybe it's not yet the ripe time to discuss that. Maybe finally, Minister, engage me on the latest regarding the Kora Music Award matter. I know that you've been fighting to trace Ernest Ajovi, and you took the matter to court. What can you tell us about that? What is the status?
Yeah, this case is still in court.
Yes.
I think the trial will start this year. We are waiting for the trial. You know, when we go back to the background of what exactly transpired, as a line minister, because the money came from, you know, NTB. NTB is supposed to buy some kind of advertisement package. When this gentleman came here wanted to put up this Cora Award. We heard of Cora Award, but I never knew this. I never even knew him and the team. So he was brought by Namibians, businessmen, who brought this person. Though we have this program, we heard about it. It happened in South Africa. It happened in some other countries. We thought these people are genuine. But I can tell you that in this world there are crooks and thieves. When they talk, they sell to you nice words. But at the end of the day, you find yourself trapped in. So I have been questioning some of the things. Of course, this case is sub judice, and I don't want to get into the details of it because evidence in issues, in every issues, will be detailed when the trial starts. That's why when we don't want to influence the court as to what, and I have said it already. I explained to people as to what the ministry's intention is, and also why we did not allow it to go that way. That we just leave it. We decided we are going to. I instructed the NTB, that is a tourism board, to sue them, the company, and to sue people who were behind. This is 21 million. It's a lot of money, Namibian money. And you know, these are literally thieves, and I can say so. No one can take him to court for that. If he's ready, you can quote me. I'm saying in public, these are thieves who just organize. It's an orchestrated scheme to come and you know and get money from the NTB. Even if they're saying, you know, it just failed. I don't want to get into details, but when the trial finishes, I think we'll be able to go in. But it's a lesson to us that nothing like this, and I told institutions that are in our ministry, should have happened again. We could avoid it because some of the thing I was even suggesting, why not having this money in Namibian account and only taking that out of the money when you get a kind of, when you are purchasing, then you take. So the thieves were so clever, they said, no, they have to do this and that first. So maybe, but we learned a lesson from that.
Indeed. So then the final question will then be to say, you can state on record that on the part of government that the intentions were genuine, because the perception out there in the public is that it was an orchestrated scheme in collaboration between those private dealers and government to sort of steal. Can you tell us on record that maybe due diligence was not done? You've said that there are lessons learned. Maybe due diligence is one of the lessons that you've learned there. But you can state that from government's part, the intentions were genuine.
The money is, whether it was aimed for Namibian Tourism Board, it's still government money. And the government cannot steal from itself. The functionaries of the state, I have checked exactly what transpired, and that's why I said these guys were just thieves. They were organized, and probably within our Namibian business people, whether they by commission or mission, they were really putting pressure even everywhere to NTB, this and that, even lying, and those things will come in court. And I'm happy. That's why I instructed NTB. There is no way, even if the Attorney General office, that then they did not want to to litigate. I said, if the Attorney General did not want to litigate, I instruct you to take a private lawyer and litigate. How much it costs? We want to find the truth on nothing. That's why I did not leave it there. The Attorney General said, we are not going to, it's a waste of money. That's now the Attorney General then. We're not talking about the current Attorney General.
Yes.
So it's a waste of money. We don't need to go in that. But they were the ones who drafted the contract. They drafted the contract. So I said, let us do it because we want things to come out there. So that I can tell you that as functionaries there, we were caught in a situation where we trusted people. We thought it's a true thing. But because of that, probably they were just luck. They were just lucky that it was just their luck that they managed to do that. And the NTB probably did not also do proper checks and to ensure that things. But all these things will come out there. What transpired? Even the lies they were lying, telling people, you see, we were aware, we were told, we were instructed to do this. It's completely lies. You know, using names. You know, in this country, I don't know what this crooks, where they learn this thing of, you know, name dropping. Name dropping is too much here in this country. If people want to do something, because they know that you not go, you have no even communication with the other person, the high office. Say we use the high office name. Say, hey, now we were sent. Now this is too much, and discrediting the office, which is highest office in the country. So maybe because the man is peaceful, it doesn't. So now you have those kind of things. You have people using the name of somebody, not only anyway. They use the name of ED, executive director said, the minister said, you have all these people, name dropping. It's too much in this country.
Indeed.
So, but all these things will come out.
Indeed.
Trials, I mean, of this nature, especially when it comes to whatever happened, government, state money, it's state money.
Yes.
This is not the government money, state money. When you talk about state inclusive, it's everybody's money.
Indeed. Indeed. Minister, thank you very much for coming through. We appreciate your thoughts.
Welcome.
Yes. That is Minister Pohamba Shifeta speaking to us, of course, about a variety of topics, commenting on a variety of thoughts that have been coming his way, and of course clarifying some of those issues. Thank you for watching.
Right, and that was the Minister telling us his point of view as regards the wildlife and the human conflict, and the fact that we need to manage our wildlife numbers. You may have an opinion about it, I may have my own, but I think it's important that he at least shares his point of views in this regard. Anyway, that brings us to the end of this show of this week. Hope you enjoyed it a bit, and hope to see you next week, same time, same place. Until then, remain safe.